Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Simone Rizkallah, and you are listening to the Beyond Rome podcast, where my colleague, James O'Reilly, and I delve into spiritual, theological, and cultural discussions with the aim of reconnecting Catholics to their Hebraic and Near Eastern Christian roots. We look beyond the West to understand what makes the Catholic Church truly universal. Hello, Philos Catholic friends and Beyond Rome listeners. This is Simone, and I'm back with my co-host, James O'Reilly. And we have two very special guests today with about a very special saint and a very special podcast. How many times can I say special, James, on this recording? But
at least 3 times.
I'm excited because, so we are going to have guests on this podcast from all 24 Catholic churches. And right now, we've had an inordinate number of Melkites on this podcast, and we just started it. But we have Maronite sisters with us. Welcome, Mother and Sister. How are you?
Very good, thank God.
Mm-hmm. We're so happy. We're with Mother Marla and Sister Therese. And yes, I've known Sister for a few years now, at least since 2020, right, Sister?
Yes, at least then, yes. And I remember enjoying those endowed podcasts with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sister Therese Maria and Mother Marla Marie. Sa? Great. So Maronites are Lebanese Catholics, and we are celebrating today, although we're recording it before the Feast of Saint Charbel, but we're releasing it today, which is the Feast of Saint Charbel, July 24th, a very incredible, the Wonderworker of the East, as he's known, Saint Charbel. So Sister and Mother, before we go into talking about Saint Charbel and why he's such an important figure for Near Eastern Christians, especially Maronites, but I would say more than just Maronites. Tell us a little bit about your order.
Sister, sure, I'd be happy to. So as Maronite servants of Christ the Light, we're spiritual mothers in our Maronite parishes, and we serve alongside our priests in different ministries. We do youth ministry, we serve our children, we offer spiritual direction. We're really there to teach the faith, to inject spirituality into our parishes. And our community was founded by Bishop Gregory Mansour and Mother Marla Marie in 2008 to really serve the pastoral and spiritual needs of our eparchy. So it's really been a beautiful journey to be able to accompany our people and just to meet them where they're at and bring them to Christ our light.
That is amazing. 2008, that's a new religious order.
Yes, it is.
And Mother, I didn't realize you were one of the founders. I always just credited Bishop Mansour. But of course,
definitely, we credit the Holy Spirit.
Yes, that's right. So, what would you say is education the charism of the order?
Well, our mission, as Sister was saying, is actually it's rooted in our contemplative prayer life, or contemplative and Eucharistic, and our mission is to radiate Christ's light, like our Blessed Virgin Mary, and we serve the people right where they are in the parishes, in our parish communities, and we're the spiritual mothers. We're the feminine counterparts of the spiritual fathers, and we complete that spiritual family in the church. So it's to draw people closer to the Lord. You know, Mary always points to Jesus, and that's what we do. And to assist our priests. You know, we have our priests, God bless them. It's such a beautiful ministry and vocation, but they do need assistance, and we're missing that feminine perspective. We have great clergy, thank you, Jesus, but what about the feminine? And our consecration. Our consecration is a gift. Our prayer, our asceticism.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Well, yeah, I want to go off on a tangent, James, on the feminine genius, but I won't. I
knew that was a temptation right when I heard
the feminine counterpart to
right.
Yes, exactly. But okay, so Saint Charbel, I actually don't know much about Saint Charbel, but of course, being Middle Eastern, I love Saint Charbel, and I have pictures of Charbel, and I have a bracelet of Saint Charbel, and my hometown has a beautiful Maronite church with a shrine to Saint Charbel. When I lived in Phoenix, Saint Joseph's in Phoenix has another great shrine to Saint Charbel. A woman in Phoenix, Arizona, was healed of blindness through the holy oil and relics of Saint Charbel. I have bottles of holy oil from Lebanon. I mean, but I actually don't know much about him. But I've met a lot of people, mother and sister and James, who are like somehow related to Saint Charbel. Maybe that's a Lebanese thing. Everybody claims to be related to him. I don't know, but I've met a number of people who are like, he's in my family lines. I don't know if that's fake news or not, but I'm actually looking forward to this conversation because I'd like to learn a little bit more about him and why. If you could share with us who he is, and also, for Roman Catholics listening, why should they be interested in this saint beyond just the fact that he's a holy wonder worker?
Amen. This isn't fake news, but Sister Emily Mary, who isn't with us right now at this moment, she lives here. She's from his village, and she is related to him too. So they can claim that. They can claim that, and she can trace it. So
Yeah, the town
Amazing.
of Eparchy. So it's the highest village in Lebanon, and it's a beautiful village. And when we go to Lebanon, it's always a village we love to visit. It's so holy, so prayerful. And also the shrine of Anea, which is the monastery where he was living at, and the hermitage is also a beautiful place that people go to for pilgrimage, for blessings, for peace, and for his intercession.
tell them some facts, because
Sure,
Simone was
yes.
saying she doesn't.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So he was born the 8th of May, Saint Charbel, in 1828. And his name, actually, his baptismal name was Yusuf, which means Joseph. Charbel was the fifth son of a family that was quite poor. He was the youngest, and he was orphaned at a very young age. His dad died at the age of 3. So he did not have a father for some time, and then his mother did remarry. What I really appreciate about his story is two of his uncles too were in the monastery, so he was probably inspired by their life and by their just their prayerfulness. And at the age of 23, he entered the monastery of Our Lady of Mayful, and he became a novice in the Lebanese Maronite order, and that's an order of monks. He actually took the name, which I find very interesting, after a 2nd century martyr, Charbel. And that name, Charbel, means God's good news. And I just actually found that out recently, which I thought was quite interesting. He was ordained the 23rd of July, 1858, as Father Charbel. And what's also interesting is on the 23rd of July in the Maronite Church, that's actually his feast day. So in the Roman Catholic Church, you celebrate it the 24th of July, but we as Catholics remember here in the US, the 23rd of July is his feast, and it's a beautiful feast day that we love, and we celebrate in different ways, and we'll speak more about that a little bit later on. So he was ordained 1858, and then he spent the next 16 years in community, and then afterwards, he felt a deeper call to withdraw from the communal life and become a hermit. So he joined, at that time, he was obviously in community, but then 1 or 2 of his peers also joined him in the hermitage. And he wanted to seek a deeper prayer life, solitude, penance, asceticism, and really draw closer to the Lord. And his love for our Blessed Mother, the love for the Eucharist, really intensified. And he spent the next 23 years as a hermit. And during that time, he gained a lot of people were seeking his counsel, his prayers, and his intercession, and people started to see him as a holy monk. Even from a young age, he was known as the Holy One in the village, but his reputation for sanctity continued to grow. And what's very beautiful is that you see that his life really resembled Christ in the way he lived, the way he sacrificed, and he actually died while celebrating the Mass in 1888.
Wow.
And his body,
Wow.
even after he died, remained incorrupt until 1965, until he was beatified. And I'm just giving you one more fact because I know there's
Amazing.
a lot more I can share. The other
Mm.
fact is he was then canonized in 1977 by Pope Paul VI. And many miracles since the time he was alive, even until he died, and after he died, I believe over 30,000 miracles have been recorded.
Proven miracles.
Yeah, healing,
Wow.
physical, emotional, spiritual, and even one other miracle that I'll share just very quickly is Nohad, a woman in Lebanon. He actually operated on her while she was sleeping, and along with Saint Maron, who is the founder of our Maronite Church, they were both there while they were doing the surgery because she obviously was not well, and he appeared to her and
Wow.
something quite miraculous. And so there's so much we can say about Saint Charbel.
And just a little bit of context on that. This was in the 1990s, so evident, obviously Saint Charbel had been deceased for quite a long time, but it's a miraculous apparition. She had suffered a stroke. She had carotid arteries. She wasn't able to be operated on, and she was asked to suggested to make a visit to his his monastery and receive a blessing. And this is where this apparition took place, and she was miraculously healed. So
Wow.
as a result, that was on the 22nd of the month, and as a result, every 22nd of the month, Anea, where the Maronite Lebanese order is, the monks have a procession in honor of Saint Charbel. I don't remember if Saint Charbel or Saint how she got the inspiration or why that they should commemorate this. But there was something, I don't remember the details.
He encouraged her to, go to the Eucharist, to have Eucharistic processions, to bring people to the Lord.
That's it, yeah, on the 22nd. And we met her in Lebanon
Yes.
on the 23rd of July. And
that's why maybe his feast day is on the 23rd? Or no, you met her on his feast day.
Yeah, we did actually. The day after the 22nd, it wasn't July, I'm sorry, it was October.
Oh, it was in July. Okay.
October one year. But this is every month they do this. And I sat next to her Lebanese style, as close as I am to sister, talking. And her wounds reopen on the 22nd of each month where they operated, and then they heal the next day. So when I was sitting next to her, I couldn't help but notice I was this close.
Yeah.
Had these two red incisions that were scabbing over.
Oh my gosh.
And she was an elderly woman, humble as humble can be.
Yeah, very lovely.
And it wasn't, it's about me, look at this. Nothing. It was about, look at him, look at Jesus, look what Jesus can do, look at God. And that's a true sign of a follower, But that was beautiful.
Yeah. But that that question, Simone, that you said about the 23rd of July, that was when he was ordained.
Okay.
That's why they made it his feast day.
Yeah.
So why didn't the Western Church pick up the same feast day? Oh, all these calendar discrepancies. It just really makes my life difficult.
No, he is such an amazing saint that we could celebrate him again and again. So.
I was going to say, I just made whoever we celebrate on the 23rd, James, mad because I'm like, why? I just want to say something really quick. I wonder how many skeptics, people who disbelieve, Christians who just raise an eyebrow about miracles. I wonder if meeting her in Lebanon and kind of seeing the wounds, I don't know, are there stories of people who are really skeptical about healings and miracles that have had conversions through?
I don't know, sister. I don't think we know that, but I do know this. Many people that I have spoken to that have met her are impressed with her genuine humility. And I think that speaks volumes. when it's not about me, it's about God. But I haven't heard stories about that. I wouldn't be surprised if there were.
And it's amazing how many people have been inspired by her witness. So I think when you look at the celebrations, the processions that happen July 22nd or every month, whatever month it is, there are thousands of people in Anea in that procession praying, seeking his intercession, adoring the Lord. And so there could be some people who are skeptical, but I see that many people are inspired by her faith and want to love the Lord more and want to seek the intercession of Saint Charbel. Because really, Saint Charbel, he's not about himself. He's really about pointing us to the Lord. And it's the Lord that was healing through him. So he was his instrument, and very humble one.
If we have time, we'll talk about the depth of his humility and his burial, because that speaks about his life. The way he lived is the way he died, which is very beautiful, and if we get a chance. But anyway.
Well, we could dive into that now. What would be his virtue? I mean, humility, that's crucial for any saint. But what are some of the other distinct virtues along with humility that he was well known for?
Well, considering the fact that 23 out of his years of his religious life were in a hermitage, isolated, separated from the people, we don't have much. We don't have any writings. We don't have, Saint Charbel said this. Here's a book or a booklet of all his sayings. We don't. But we do have the stories about how he lived from his fellow monks, what they know of him, what impressions he made on them. And there was one other monk, because usually they would have two hermits together up in the St. Peter and Paul Hermitage. He was an eyewitness to many of these virtues. And I would like to, maybe Sister and I could share on, well, we did say humility. He was quite humble, and I'll tell that story since I brought it up, so people won't be, what was that story about him dying? Prayer was key. He was rooted and grounded in prayer. You don't become a hermit to escape people. You become a hermit to enter more deeply into the Lord. He was Eucharistic. His sister said he died during the Eucharistic celebration.
Right.
Actually, at the elevation, we'll have a prayer at the end of this interview that he was saying at that time from the liturgy of that time. His silence is key. It hinges not just an absence of noise, but his solitude within him that was oriented toward God. He quelled the noises and the passions so that he could be attentive to God. His devotion to Mary, have you ever met a Maronite that wasn't devoted to Our Lady? His love for the mother of Jesus, because Jesus loved his mother dearly. His asceticism, he was known for, he only ate one meal a day, no meat.
Fasting,
he fasted, he denied himself, he slept on the floor on a mat. If you go to his hermitage, you see his small little cell. You'll see a little, a
log for his pillow.
A log for his pillow, and like a mat for his bed on the stone floor. So we could even delve into some of those: silence, Mary, the Eucharist, prayer. But I know we don't have time. But those really are his trademarks. I mean, that's what he's known for.
Yeah, I think before you go into the humility piece, Mother, I would just also emphasize his single-mindedness, like his heart, his mind, everything was just focused on the Lord, and he didn't allow the world to pull him in, but he was so detached, and that detachment really freed him to be all for the Lord and all in.
Yeah.
And I love that about Saint Charbel. He didn't allow, his monks that were maybe even at times trying to play tricks on him or, jealous of him, or even people in the world, that were trying to even say bad things. He always knew how to profit from the situation at hand and feel even more closer to the Lord. And that really, for me, is inspiring as a sister, to not let negativity around me the drama that can.
She's not talking about me. I know.
That's funny, Mark. But in ministry, things can get messy. People
Yeah.
can, get a little crazy sometimes, and just learning how to
Right.
navigate that. And yeah, having an example like Saint Charbel, it's just definitely inspiring to keep you on that road focused toward the Lord.
Right.
Yes, and he lived his.
Even in ministry, especially in
Yes,
ministry.
yes.
Uh,
Speaking completely objectively, not with no experience of that at all. Anyways, sorry, James.
he was very exemplary in his vows too that he took as a religious, his obedience, his chastity, his poverty. Actually, Sister probably will speak about that later about his the chaplet to Saint Charbel meditates on his vows because he was an exemplary religious, and we can all learn from that, all of us.
Yeah.
So, what was the story about the burial that you wanted to share?
Oh, she's taking your job. She's interviewing.
Our new co-host.
I don't know. She got the wrong people to interview. His burial. The way he died is the way he lived. No one knew him. I mean, the few circle around him in the monastery, his family. But when he left his family in Bakafra, he never went back. And he did that deliberately at the age of 23 when he entered the monastery. It was like he didn't cut them off to reject them, but he was beginning his new life and he wanted to in a healthy way, detach himself. So he lived that way all his life. And he lived generosity, always serving his brothers, going the extra mile, doing the hardest tasks, keeping silent. He was a monk. Monks are cloistered, although they do some active work. So when he died Christmas Eve, and naturally they bury you immediately. But at the same time, the patriarch of the Maronite Church had died around that same time. And as the head of the Maronite Church, naturally, many of the people in Lebanon are going to go to his funeral. So on the day of Charbel's burial, most of the monks were at the funeral for the patriarch. It was a cold, snowy day, and a couple of monks were left behind to wrap the body, put it in a simple wooden coffin, and take it to the monastery cemetery, and give him a burial. So there weren't even people there at his burial. And so he died the way he lived, single minded for God, not looking for the attention of people. But interestingly, today, 2024, he is known all over the world, Asian countries, African countries, naturally the Middle East, Europe, America, South America,
Australia.
Everywhere. There is this surge of a devotion to this obscure hermit monk. Why? That's like a mystery, isn't it? But God knew in 1898 that he was saving this gem for us today because we need this example of prayer and that humility.
Yeah, and even in St. Patrick's, the cathedral, the last spot that was left, that was open, Saint Charbel is there. He's there's a beautiful shrine.
Yeah.
People go and seek his intercession there, and I just think it's amazing how this obscure monk, priest, hermit now has become so well known. And it's not because he pointed to himself, but he pointed to the Lord. And I think that's just a testimony to his holiness, but also to how he was really about the Lord and not about himself. And I feel like that can be a temptation in ministry where we think it's about us and we feel like we have to kind of prove ourselves or, get one step ahead. But I think the more hidden we are, the more God can work through us.
Yeah, like Our Lady.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think Saint
Definitely.
Charbel really shows us that.
He does. I've seen the little section in St. Patrick's they have for him, and this was before I knew him well either. And I'm not saying I know him well now, but out of like the 2 or 3 photos I took at St. Patrick's, one of them was that little corner, the niche they have in there, just because it stuck out. It was this, St. Patrick's, New York, and then there's this Eastern saint with this beautiful mural. So yeah, it's beautiful to see. Sister Therese, you spoke about, I think you mentioned a chaplet.
Yeah.
Is that right? To Saint Charbel.
Yes.
There's that. What other kind of devotions? I mean, he's well known throughout the world. What kind of devotions are there that are common or specific that different Catholics have to Saint Charbel?
Yes, great question. So the chaplet of Divine Mercy is different, but the chaplet of Saint Charbel is really beautiful because it kind of accentuates his virtues. And we spoke about, his love for the Lord through the way he lived, his obedience, his chastity, his poverty, his love for the Eucharist, his love for Mary. So really, as we pray this chaplet, we're asking Saint Charbel to help deepen our love for the Eucharist, our love for Mary, our love for the Lord in living out those vows of obedience, chastity, poverty, wherever we are, whatever we are doing, whatever state of life we're in, we can all grow in those virtues. And part of the chaplet is we pray this Father of Truth prayer. And Mother and I wanted to give you a little taste. There's a hymn.
Please do.
Please do. And what's it called? The what of truth prayer?
It's Father, O Father of Truth.
Oh, Father of Truth prayer. Amazing.
So
Yeah.
it's actually a hymn too. And this would have been the prayer that he was reciting as his life
elevating the host at the liturgy, divine liturgy.
And his life was being consumed in the Lord. And these were his final words, along with Jesus and Mary. So,
too, just a note to that, Sister. We used to have that prayer in the Maronite liturgy at a particular point, but it's not said anymore. But at the fraction of the liturgy, oftentimes we will sing it as one of the hymn choices we have, and that's the one that we have here.
Yeah, so the fraction for us in the Maronite liturgy is just before the consecration, or as the Eucharist is being consecrated. So it's a very sacred time. And this is the hymn, and we'll just sing one verse, but you'll get a feel for how it goes, okay? O Father of truth, now behold Christ your Son, who has died as a pure sacrifice. Grant me pardon. Accept him who offered himself. Be at peace with me, Lord, and forgive all my sins and offenses.
There's
beautiful.
That's a beautiful.
So beautiful. That is such a treat.
Yeah.
Such
By
a
the
treat.
way, not to correct you publicly, but it's after the words of institution, when the precious body and blood are present, is when the priest commingles and elevates.
Okay.
Yes. He breaks.
So it's after the
Yes.
consecration. Oh my gosh, how
And
lovely.
He's elevating, because that's what the priest does. If you've been to a Maronite liturgy, absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
As all our Catholic liturgies are, but we're partial to ours.
as you should be.
Yes.
Oh, that's so lovely.
So we're coming to the end of our time together, mother and sister, but I wanted to ask, you all, I believe, have a Saint Charbel Spiritual Life Center that just opened in the Maronite Eparchy in Pittsburgh. Is that correct?
Yeah, right. Our eparchy. There are 2 eparchies in America,
Okay.
the United States, the East Coast, the West Coast. So our eparchy, which is the Maronite Eparchy of Saint Maron of Brooklyn, Bishop Gregory, in his love for the spirituality of our church, has been able to acquire this center in Pittsburgh that he has recently. We dedicated it in April. So hopefully the bishop's desire and dream is to promote our Maronite Eastern spirituality, to welcome more people to be able to benefit from it, and other of our Catholic spiritualities, but specifically. And we have a place now for our people they can come to. to gather for retreat or prayer or conferences.
Mm.
And we've been there. Sister actually had a retreat there.
Yes, we hosted a young adult retreat there recently, and it went very well. And really, this is a place where people can come for healing, the sacraments, confession, adoration. It's meant to be open to all Catholics, even people that are Byzantine, Roman Catholic, Maronite, those that just want to draw closer to the Lord and be just inspired by the spirituality of Saint Charbel, and allow Saint Charbel's example to help them to deepen their own spirituality.
Yeah, it sounds like an awesome opportunity for Western Catholics, people maybe who aren't as familiar too with Eastern spiritualities, to like, you could learn about Saint Charbel, read about him online, you could see his painting at church, but it sounds like this is a chance for people to come and just live that embodied way, that spirituality that Saint Charbel showed us. So it is real. I mean, I think people who are listening would love to check that out. We'll definitely include that in the show notes and share more about it. But I want to go check it out now.
Oh, good.
Let's go, James.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Fearless Catholic road trip.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of beautiful programs currently at the center to kind of develop more of that spirituality. They even have a Saturday speaker series. So once a month on a Saturday, they'll bring a speaker in, and they'll do different healing masses and opportunities for deeper spiritual growth. So
our Bishop Gregory Mansour, and I know you know him, Simone. He's a man of spirituality himself, and a man of great humility.
Definitely.
Just he has that on his heart to help our people to grow, and I think this is a beautiful way to contribute to that. Yes. And us too. A congregation of consecrated women, that was part of his vision as well. So
it was so moving. So absolutely moving. Well, thank you so much for doing this with us, especially last minute, because we really wanted to have a Maronite presence on the Beyond Rome podcast before so we could be ready for the feast of Saint Charbel. But now, James, we have to talk off record. Do we release it on the 23rd or the 24th?
I know. We're going to have to go to Rome about this.
We're going to have to go to Rome about it. Crisis. Anyways, thank you so much, sisters. We really enjoyed this conversation and that hymn at the end, which we should also link to the show notes, James, because it was so beautiful after the consecration to appeal to the spirit of truth, to pervade our hearts and minds, to renew our minds, especially in this time of increased. I mean, it's always hard times, right? It's a fallen world, which is why we need Saint Charbel and his wonder working, his miracles, his humility, and his intercession for our lives. So thank you again, sisters.
Most welcome. Thank you for inviting us, and be assured of our prayers.
If this episode was helpful for you, please consider sharing it with a friend, leaving a rating and review to help us spread the word, and donating at philosproject.org/give with the comment Catholic to support this podcast. To learn more about becoming a Christian leader in the Near East, check out our Pathfinder free online courses, also on our website. Thanks for listening. See you next week.